Hi guys, this is the third video on the Research Project Chief Assessors report that's been released for 2016. So I've gone through the general overview and the overview for the folio. Now what we're looking at is the specific features of the folio, which is the specific performance standards that are going to be marked. So the things that are marked first of all is P1, which is the planning and refinement of a research project question. Remember my key tips. First of all, you need to make sure that it has a question mark at the end of it, otherwise it's not actually a question and you can't get above a D grade for that. Second of all, make sure that you define it to start off with by the place, the time, the people, and also the topic. And thirdly, make sure it starts with either a how or a why, because this invites argument, which is something that some kids fail to be able to do. So those three tips, remember, question mark, how or why, and who, when and where, will make sure that your question is highly refined. All right, so if we're looking at first of all the performance standard that's being marked, if you go down to the fourth page of the Chief Assessor's report, what you'll find first of all is P1, consideration and refinement of a research question. What you need to make sure is that your question is actually solvable. You have to, or resolvable. You actually have to be able to find an answer to your question. If you can't, you're not going to be all that successful. Make sure there is no conspiracy theories. Second of all, make sure that you explain how you have refined your question. So talk through the graphics organizer. Talk about the decisions that you made when you refine this. Remember, this is normally marked in the proposal, therefore make sure that you're talking about it, showing them your understanding. The third thing that you need to talk about is that you can always show your change of question or refinement of question throughout the research project folio. So what you should do is write in something like a journal, or if you go back, annotate your proposal. Don't change your proposal, always go back and annotate it. So once it's done, it is done. If you change a question, go back and say what you've changed it to and why you've changed it. It may be because you can't find resources on it, it may be because your research has suggested a different way that you go. In your journals, though, you can actually expand on that a lot more than just the annotation on the side of a proposal. So therefore, that's where I suggest you do it first and foremost, but make sure your proposal has something written on it saying that your question has actually changed. All right. So always show them the decisions that you've made and how you've ended up making them. The next thing that I want you to make sure is that you include an argument, or ask a question that asks for an argument. So you should be able to show two sides of something. If you ask how to do something, you should be showing why that's the best way. If you're asking why you should do something, you should also show the opposite opinion of the one that you have. So you acknowledge that there's another idea out there. So show both how and why. Show both why. So what you need to make sure is that if you refine something, you need to show how the research led to this refinement. So you need to show how what you found out actually made this happen and the decisions that you made because of it. All right, that's P1 in a nutshell. Basically, it's only what you show in your proposal and perhaps some journal articles. All right, no, so journal entries, not journal articles. I don't know what I'm talking about. If you've watched this and worked out that I've said the wrong word, good work, guys. Well done.